as promised, now I'd like to extend a warm welcome to our online guests joining us from all over the globe to the third edition of the ABB Electrification Startup Challenge. Round of applause. Come on, guys, from the room. All right. Very nice. See, we've all been waiting for you. We are thrilled, even though we cannot see you, we are thrilled that you are joining us and are going to be with us for the next, I'd say, hour and a half through our conversation and, of course, the announcement of the winners. Now, my name is Ana Maria Montero. I have been the host facilitator since this morning, but now I'd like to introduce myself to you and briefly give you a recap of what we've been doing, up to this point that you have joined us. Now, the goal of this challenge is to connect innovative startups with ABB Electrification so that together they can create value and speed up this process towards sustainability. Now, the startups that participated in the challenge were asked to propose ideas to solve one of three digital challenges, so distribution solutions, smart power, and smart buildings. Now, this journey took place over months. But basically, from over the 100 applications received from around the world, ABB Division's coaches and digital leads selected 3 finalists from each challenge category. Now, of these 9 finalists, 3 winners, each of them pitched during the day, and 3 winners will be chosen, 1 in each division, and they are actually being selected as we speak by our 7-member jury. Now, the pitches, they already took place earlier today, as I mentioned, and were behind closed doors, so we didn't have a live stream available for you. But however, if you would like to know more, you can go to the events page, and there will be some links where you can then get more information on all of the startups that participated. Now, the 3 winners today will receive the opportunity to start working with ABB experts to develop an MVP to sell on the ABB Ability Marketplace. And in addition, this 3 to 6 month collaboration worth $30,000 will enable them to launch their joint solution on this Ability Marketplace by the end of the year. And very soon, we are going to know just who these people are. Now, meanwhile, as promised, we have and I'm sure it's going to be an exciting conversation to jump into now. I'd like to invite our group of experts to the stage to dig deeper into this overarching theme of the day, which is really changing the world through open innovation. In other words, how to drive successful collaborations and partnerships between startups and corporates. So before I invite them up, I just want to say that we will have time for questions and answers afterwards. For those of you joining us online, you can use the event page to submit your questions online. We will receive them. And for those of you in the room, we'll have to do it old school. Raise your hand. We'll have people with mics coming around, and you can ask your questions at the end. We'll have about 10 minutes towards the end of the discussion for this. So without further ado, I'd like to invite our panelists to join me on the stage. Please, gentlemen, come on up. And if you'd like to take a seat, please. Morten, we'll start with you. Go ahead. Everybody can come up at the same time. It's OK. We'll introduce you after. Come on up. But we'll give you some applause. There you go. Some clapping. Wherever you'd like. All right. Awesome.
Yes.
I think everybody's mic should be on. We've all got water. OK, so let's just take a minute then and meet our panelists. Excuse me. I'd like to start with a bit in the middle with Morten Wierud. He is the president of ABB Electrification. Next to him, we've got Peter Löfgren, CEO of Synerleap. So two of the main instigators for this event, and then of course the third gentleman here from Microsoft Germany, Thomas Tremmel, technology lead government, Microsoft Germany. And then to my left here, I've got Ingmar Her. Now you are from the European Innovation Council, advisor and ambassador, but also co-founder of CureVac. Welcome. And last but certainly not least, one of the winners from last year's Startup Challenge, Tim Minak, CEO of Talarna. Do we get a special applause for you? No, we get a special, everybody. Thank you for being here. All right. Thank you so much for being here. So before we jump into this topic, Gentlemen, I'd love to know, what are your thoughts from what you've seen? I mean, Morten, not to put you in the hot spot, but what's your impression? What's been your takeaway?
Now, first of all, it's great to be here, and I love passionate people who what we've seen up on stage today with great ideas, but then also the opportunity now to connect them back to what we do at ABB when we're talking about an ABB Electrification, about safe, smart, sustainable electrification, which is what we do. So when you get that combination of something that I'm proud of, but I hear also all these great ideas from the startups, I'm really looking forward to when we're going to have the winner and going to work together with the winners as the next step. So a very energizing day.
What about you, Thomas? What's the
It's
top of mind?
yeah. Thanks for the invitation for the panel here, and great that you are all visiting us here in Berlin. And it was a very inspiring day. Just we had, over a chat at the coffee, we said like it's a mixture between binge watching and speed dating we had this day, and really energizing.
That's a pretty good comparison. And Peter, Mr. Sinnerleap, what's...
Yeah, it's a lot of feeling a day like this, because we will remember back on this day as we started a new journey. I'm pretty sure of it. It's not just 3 winners. It will be a lot of collaboration originating from this exercise we have together. So I'm really super happy that we can meet physically also, and of course all of you out there virtually as well. But yes, I'm kind of proud in a way.
Well, that's totally okay. And Ingmar, what do you think?
Well, I'm the pharma guy here. But in terms of my knowledge about open innovation, I think it's key, especially for the biotech industry, because they can't afford to build all the pharma structures from pharma industry. So they have to collaborate from the very beginning with big pharma companies, and we did in CureVac as well, and we had really good success and results from that.
Awesome. So anything that you've heard today really stand out, or maybe remind you?
Well, I like the spirit of the founders, of the guys. It was really inspiring for me. It's always the kind of personal interaction with people which make it so good. And hopefully next year you can all be together, and maybe a larger come together. I think it's really somehow getting better and better, and hope next time we will be all together.
Wonderful. And just to wrap it up, I mean, Tim, you were here last year, so I out of curiosity, when you're watching the other people pitch up here on stage today, what was going through your mind? Like just totally like relief, like happy it's not you, or?
Yeah, there was some relief, but no, I was very impressed by the really high caliber and the level of thought that's gone into the future collaboration. I think we were really surprised, and in a positive sense, about the way in which the next 6-12 months rolled out, and we had a fairly good idea as to where we wanted to sort of direct our capabilities, but were sort of moved and massaged in slightly different directions, and it was done very collaboratively and positively.
If I can stay with you for just a minute, then what's been the impact of becoming a winner of this challenge and of your work with ABB?
I mean, the multiple fronts, both immediately with the team. We're a small team. We were probably about 3/4 of the size then, and the level of sort of buy-in and sort of forward movement was incredible. But I think from a commercial perspective, the credibility and the validation that a prize like this creates has been unquantifiable. I think the third area is around, as I mentioned, our approach and our go-to-market. We were super focused on one aspect of our capability, and the sponsors that we were working with in Smart Power saw a slightly different opportunity for it, at least initially, and really opened our eyes to different applications for the products, which will benefit us going forward.
Mm-hmm. So any advice that you would give any of the startups that might win today?
I think part of the collaboration that has been really important is that the sponsors have the same commercial objective. They know what they want to achieve and have a very clear vision to get there. And I think it's key to understand that as early as possible and create much sort of quicker harmony going forward.
All right, some good advice for those of you out there listening, I think. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's come back then to this topic of open innovation, which Ingmar, you addressed just shortly, and of course is, as I said earlier, the overriding theme of our discussion. What does success look like, Morten, for example, when pursuing startup and corporate collaborations?
No, I think for us it's important to work with startups also because on one side we're very proud of what we do internally, and I think we have our strong product development processes, and we are good at scaling new technology out in the whole world and letting all industries take part in that technology. But there is always a risk when you are in a large corporation with more than 100,000 or 110,000 people. There's always a risk that you get internally centered and you're not able to grasp what's happening fully out in the market and the new opportunities are there. And therefore, opportunities like these, pitching ideas from startups and see that how we can work together as partners through a project, getting that on our, as we talking about today, our digital platforms and leverage those out throughout the world. There we have as ABB the opportunity, but the startups have very often, more creative ideas, and I think it's our both obligation to help also newcomers and new startups to be able to grow in the industry and being able to can use some of our platforms. I think that's the combination. So we challenge ourselves as a large corporation to be creative enough or to be fast enough, and also to let go a bit of the control that you need to have as a governance in a large corporation, which doesn't always exist, let's say, on the same level in a startup. So there is where I think it's just a great exposure to those type of companies, that what we're doing today and what we have done now for quite a few years with very, very good success.
Is this an experience that you've shared at Microsoft, Thomas?
Yes, we definitely do. I think looking at Microsoft with 190,000 employees on this planet, we are more like more a tanker than a speedboat. But we'll, so to speak, if we stay in this picture, we like the accompanying. If we have speedboats amongst us, around us, because they can be inspiring and sometimes more inspiring than the same idea that was breeded within the corporation. So if an outside information that can move more, and on the other side, looking at the last 20 years and looking at innovation or open innovation, if you look at, I think we've all learned from the internet, from all these processes of bringing up technologies with RFCs, requests for comments and open source, and we see this more and more take place in projects as well, to really develop IP together and bring it to the market and share it as open space again, open source again. Excuse me.
Interesting. I want to come back to that, but before I want to ask, and Peter, you are, as the ABB accelerator, you're kind of in the middle there. What's been your what works in your experience?
I think it boils down very much to the shared expectations in a way. And I think if coming back to this with the success, of course, it depends what success is differently if we are talking about incremental innovation or if we are talking about disruptive innovation. If it's incremental, it's really deliver the business case. That is the success. But when it comes to disruptive, and maybe you touched upon it also because you saw new opportunities when you started to talk with each other. We are charting uncharted waters, and then it's learning, in my mind, that is the success. And the learning in itself, that generates the competitive advantage. And if we can scale from that competitive advantage in a fast way, then we have succeeded. Because in the end, it's all, again, we need to make money, you can say, or have sustainable solutions. But it's not in every case we can measure towards a business case, because you need to explore in a portfolio manner in order to understand how does it look out there. And the more you explore, the more competitive advantage you will gain. And from that, you scale and make business. And some of them will be really good business, because it's not the incremental kind of small growth. It will be exponential growth. Some it's just learning, and some, yeah, maybe from a corporate perspective, you would say it's a failure. And that is scary. It's a learning.
It's a learning. Well, this
learning.
this I mean,
Because you know something that you did not know before.
yeah.
If you're curious and it didn't succeed your hypothesis, you learn something. Use it.
And you've touched on something that comes up a lot, especially in startup scenarios, you know, which is this perhaps cultural difference, but this concept of failure is different, you know, all over the world. I think you and I were chatting a little bit about that over coffee, you know, your experience.
Yeah, we were chatting about DARPA, a defense agency in the US, and we were funded by this agency a couple of years ago, and we went there for a report. And in front of me, there was sitting an officer in whole uniform. So he was a military guy, and I was I was a small startup guy from Germany, and he was sitting, and I was talking, and he was saying, well, let's talk about your projects. Tell me about how it's going. I say, well, everything should be fine. Everything is good. I can show you here really good results. And then he was shouting at me, I don't want to see good results. I want to see bad results. So tell me what went wrong. So then I switched, you know, and as a German, I don't want to speak about failures. I want to speak about success. So I was switching and say, well, yeah, maybe we have some problems here. We see some problems here. Say, exactly. We want to go here. I want to help you here. I want to hear and listen. What are you doing? What was going wrong? Because I want to help you. If it does not going something wrong, you did not enough. So I really want you and urge you, do enough and really go to the edges of your technology. Show me what goes wrong first, and then tell me what went well. That's okay. So this was kind of learning. Maybe this was kind of DARPA thinking, because they think really broad and they talk about failures really openly. So this changed to me something in further conversations with DARPA.
Martin, go ahead.
Yeah, just also to comment, I think also in a larger company, a failure on a large project, it's kind of not an option. But even on the smaller one, it's tougher. But when you work with somebody outside, you can see, and the startups here, I don't hope they get me in the wrong way, but when if you're running a project with somebody outside and it fails, you always have somebody even outside to blame, which is maybe not a good excuse, but at least the kind of the interaction, or kind of where people say, yeah, you know, let's try it. I'm not 100% convinced yet, but let's try. So you get that. While if you're having an internal project, you're spending quite a few million of dollars, you know, let's try and see. If it fails, we just learn from it. It is a bit more difficult to do. So, but I do hope that for the startups in the audience that we will succeed, and you will show together that we can make success. But it is, I've also seen an attitude a bit more of where a project would be declined when you're working purely internally. When you work with somebody from outside, you're also the risk willingness on the ABB side or on the corporation side, I think it's a bit bigger, because then let's try and see. You know, okay, it's not the end of the world if it doesn't make, but we will learn something.
Maybe I think it's important, it's a kind of trust thing. So being on the startup side, it's really hard to me to talk about failures. We try often by ourselves, and well, everything should run fine. I think the sooner you interact with your supervisor from the other side, the better it is. And if you really also engage this guy and tell him, okay, maybe you can help us here, you know, we see forthcoming, maybe we don't reach the milestone that timely, so maybe how we can work together, and maybe you have some contacts, some help, some consultants or something like that who can help us. So the sooner you engage the guy, the gate is with you, you know, and you're together, and not the opposite. I think that's really important. So once you spot something going wrong, you should really go as soon as possible to speak with the guy and seeking for help.
But I was just thinking about you. Go ahead.
No, I'd absolutely echo that, and it was certainly our experience with the team that we were working with, and I think they were obviously very professional and sort of tuned into what the potential risks could be of working with a startup, against quite a strict timetable of product launch that had to go right. So I think we felt very early on that we were, I mean, obviously, commercial relationship, we were supplying an aspect of a small aspect of the product, but we really felt part of the team, and so there was never any, hopefully, sort of uncomfortable pauses if something was going in the wrong direction. It was immediately captured and collaboratively sorted out.
So what generally speaking then would be, some of these, dare I say, pain points, challenges, when it comes to the relationship between corporates and the startups, and how do you overcome them?
Let me start from, first of all, it's like in any relationship, it's about expectations. Are we on the same page when we start of what's about, are we going to do together? It's very basic stuff that we get that alignment early on and how do we measure success? Because that could also be big differences. So kind of taking those, spending some time in the beginning, getting alignment on expectation, describing what success look like, and then being able and then the next step is very much to get the buy-in from, it's good to have an executive sponsor, but the important thing is that you have also a working team that is kind of truly engaged and share the same need and will, that they want to spend time on it, because we're all busy, and if it's just kind of being pushed from the top, it will fail. So getting that to buy-in in the organization, that you have a team that is speaking partners that can learn from each other, who can work together and can create success during the project period. I think for me, when it's working well, that is in place, and I think team, you kind of can tell that you have a team that work together with you, and if it doesn't work, a lot of those kind of what I mentioned, I think that's have been the failures where we have been lacking. And we have examples of both, but luckily there are more success than failures. So that's why we are very passionate about to continue doing this also for many years.
But also from what I understand it, getting support from that local environment of the startup, so not just at that kind of higher corporate level, but also closer to the ground.
Yes, on the local organization, as we do with our local R&D team, or also with the market teams that you have just to say, you create common project team that works together to get things done. This is not something where we are buying a service and then after 3 months, let's see what you deliver. Then it's going to fail. You need to have that constant interaction, constant collaboration happening, and then that's when the magic is happening. And I think those are the examples what we have seen also. We had one of the winners last year were pitching about augmented reality that we are now implemented with some of our largest customers on the field of service. So, but there it solves real customer problem, especially in the field of safety. And that is in the oil and gas sector, where you can use augmented reality and then being able to support on-site work in a safer, you get your experts connected directly for the service people who is in front of working on a switchgear, as an example. So these are one of the examples that we are making clear customer value or customer cases that will help customers around the world through startups.
Well, just the flip side from the smaller perspective from the startup company. When we interacted with pharma companies, we were always scared that pharma companies will take our best employees. And this happened sometime, indeed, that after the contract was closed or the project was gone, then our best employees went to the pharma industry. So we were scared about it because they could pay them much higher than we can do. And I think this is also something we want to avoid, but I think it's reality. I think it's hard to avoid this.
Does that apply also to IP? And when you go
sure.
into a room and you're you're afraid,
it applies to everything. If you see really excellent colleagues or excellent workers you work with together, of course you want to keep them, you want to take them. So it is a kind of brain drain from the startups going into the big ones. They could pay higher fees, and I think this is we are very scared. We are very scared, and of course it happens. It happens, sure.
Sure, it's happening.
Yeah.
Peter.
Yes. What I would like to reflect a little bit on is when you take this to the next scale as well, and you build an ecosystem, the network effect that is coming into place there as well. Like Morten here is bringing really great example. I mean, right now in the ecosystem, we have onboarded in our ecosystem 125 companies from 22 countries and started more than 200 collaborations like you started. I mean, and from this we gather a lot of experience in many areas. And there are two schools. I mean, if you see the future, if you can predict the future, you can control it. And this makes sense, right? That is how we typically work. But what if you can control the future? You don't need to predict it. And that is where the ecosystem comes in. If we really decide ourselves, we commit ourselves to a vision, we don't really know how we can come there, but we have an ecosystem where we have a great lot of experience and competences. If we can unleash that power, I mean, we can reach that future that we control. We own the future much faster. And I think this is when we take it to the next scale. So for me, it's not just about a couple of single collaborations. It's about taking us to controlling the future that we really need. Because the planet, we don't have time for the planet. We need the best sustainable solutions, and the customer deserves the best. And here we can be stronger together. And this is what it's all about. We leverage each other's strengths. Startups need Morten and electrification, and I think we need you.
Mm-hmm. I think we've got an example of that right here. We got Microsoft, ABB, and certainly...
And Microsoft and everyone else. Even, yeah.
I'm sorry, Tim, you were...
Yeah, I mean, I think the value of Synaleap in our experience working with ABB can't be underestimated. You know, again, in our experience, it's a unique sort of organization that develops an ecosystem, but also deeply understands the way that collaboration needs to occur. And I think they probably prepared us as the audience very well by sort of pointing to potential sort of bumps in the road to do with IP. We didn't discuss sort of potential, you know, thieving staff, but I hadn't really thought of that at the time. But you know, it was all of these things that had already been thought through, and actually there was a brilliant process to, you know, allay any concerns. And yes, here's documentation. This is what it means. And you know, I think all of the obvious challenges that startups who sort of, you know, need to think a lot of themselves, but then have a reality check when they engage with a sort of multinational corporate. You know, they'd already thought that through, and it was really helpful. And it's, as you say, speed is key in all of these things, and I think we sort of expedited it by a couple of months.
If I could just comment as well, you mentioned the IP, and I think there is something that we have also standardized when we work with startup companies. We have done this over many years, and the only way this works, that there is trust on both sides. So not the larger part taking advantage of the smaller player in collaboration. So we fully respect, you know, the ideas that a startup brings into the discussion with ABB, or else this would not work. And so just to address also what you say, if some people would later on would like to join ABB or Microsoft or other, I think there is an open job market, and those things may happen. that you never know. But I think there, as long as everybody makes their own choices in life, I think that's how it should be as well. But the IP rights of the people and the companies, the startups that bring them to the table, at least there should be assured that those will not be cheated, or with us at least, as I can speak on behalf of ABB. I'm sure Microsoft would say the same thing in your discussion when you're working with it. Yeah.
totally agree. You have to get this intellectual property stuff right. You have to get it sorted out, and it has to be clear what's the cake that is on the table. But for me, next to expectation management, you mentioned there's one big meta theme, I think, that I can see within Microsoft. We have a saying, or maybe it's even a mantra these days. It's don't be a know-it-all, be a learn-it-all. And that's the way we started in 2014 with Satya Nadella taking over the CEO position, and that's what we're trying to live, and to develop something together with partners, with startups, even with customers together, and to get into a more partnership and strategic-like thing instead of selling just software. I mean, like we sold software like Windows and Word and stuff before, but these days we are a platform provider with an industrialized cloud platform, just using 3 gigawatts of power this second. And again. Yeah. So of course we want to leverage this platform and to use it. And if there are new ideas and clever ideas and disruptive ideas, they can find a place to be hosted there.
Now, Peter, you touched on the ecosystem, the power of the ecosystems, and Ingmar, I'd like you to put on your European Innovation Council hat for a moment, and tell us, what role does this organization play in this startup ecosystem at the moment?
Well, the ESC should play a very important role, and I was pioneering the ESC pilot under Commissioner Möders. We started to talk about, well, we should do a kind of ecosystem in Europe, kind of thing like DARPA in the US. So it should be a kind of European DARPA. It's not possible to do this the military way in Europe. It's not possible, and it takes longer decision making. It's really longer and things like that. But we want to be also very powerful to enable European startups to get to the next stages, from the seed state in the startup stage, and then from the growing stage. What we also wanted to do to involve the European ecosystem, so to involve European investors to collaborate with the EIC, European Innovation Council. And we also want to do the personal contact with an innovation officer, more or less. So what we did with DARPA, the same with the EIC, that there is a personal interaction between the startup and between the funding agency. So these are very key people, and these people, they should be trained and professionalized from own startups, for example, founding companies, things like that. Not people outside. They had to really fulfill the criteria by themselves, starting a business and company. So I think the selection of these project managers are really key to it. Also from the subjects, natural sciences, for example, social sciences, IT, it should be also a match here. And I think these people are teaming up and then building the business to the next stage, to the next stage, and to the next stage. And I hope it will fulfill this expectation we had in the pilot phase. Let's see what's going on, but I'm sure that it's really good that everybody is really discussing the issue, because it's key for us in Europe that innovation keeps place in Europe. It's our strengths and our future. As you can see also now, the challenges in Russia, Ukraine, it has to be something we keep on, and we get strong and stronger than before.
Because it's a collaboration. I mean, it's important for the competitiveness
For sure.
of the economy.
For sure. It's important talking about China, Russia. And it's clear that Europe should be really seeing the next future, seeing it can be strong in subjects, but it has to align much more than it was in the past. So, and still you see the struggle with the member state things in the European environment. It's not easy, but I think it gets better in my eyes. And as soon there's more pressure from outside, I'm sure that then they will somehow synergize with each other, and then hopefully decisions will be made.
What does that mean for our startups?
Yeah.
I mean, if they come knocking on the door, they must be patient, it sounds like.
Exactly, they must be patient, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it should be changed.
Yes, it will take a moment. So we've looked at what are some of those success factors that, or what are the factors that contribute to the success of our open collaborations? We were speaking earlier, you and I, Thomas, about your experience, also your entrepreneurial experience before you came to Microsoft, and how you were at the cusp. It was so interesting because kind of at the cusp of the open source, open innovation sort of movement. What kind of evolution have you seen, and what would you say about where we are with it today?
Well, when I left university, it was middle of the 90s, and to start an internet business there was like you needed at least 2,000 Deutschmarks a month to get an internet connection with 265K just to be present. Wow. Yeah? So look at the entry barriers today; they are much lower. So just for historical, anecdotal reasons, I would say that. But what I noticed within the course of the last 20 years, this way of thinking of getting new standards into life, like in TCP/IP protocol, request for comments, the way of discussing, developing standards together, and then agreeing upon a standard. This really changed the way we work. And Microsoft, for example, believe it or not, is the biggest contributor of Linux and open source software on this planet. And we just yesterday we spent $5 million to support Linux security stuff, and we're looking at the Log4j stuff happening in December, and we to strengthen the security posture of all this project. That switch that you could use for Log2 shell is more documented and acknowledged and stuff like this. And I see this as a great development within the last years, because in this way of doing open source software, of open sourcing your stuff, showing it to the public, and going into the arena to increase it, iterate the software. I think for me it's the only way forward.
See a lot of nodding. Yes, it's the only way forward. I mean, I don't know what the option would be to take backward steps, right? That doesn't make sense. So, even though it's risky, even though it comes with risks, especially, well, for both sides.
Yeah, but I think the only way is to do it in a collaborative way. Because if you are from the industry side, if you are trying to sell solutions, you are in 100% need of people who tell you what their problem is. Otherwise, you can't solve it. From the customer side, that's what we're doing, what we're learning, and then there are always solutions that are already on the market, or they are so disruptive that you never thought about it within a corporate context, and that's why I say it's the only way forward.
Mm-hmm. Peter.
I think there is never a way back. And I think collaboration, I mean, if we remove the friction by collaboration, of course it has a higher potential than doing everything by yourself. It's very logical, because you cannot be best of everything yourself. So for me, it's a little bit like, think about the farming community we had a long time ago. You kept control of everything yourself, and I mean, whatever to eat, or you were your own plumber or even airline pilot. But then we figured out that, okay, by a specialized society, it's better for all, not only for myself. If I am a plumber and someone is a hair cutter and someone is an electrician and so on, because we get more done in that way of doing. And for the ecosystem society, the one that figure out how to leverage each other's strengths, of course, we don't want to go back again, because it will be more efficient. So I think that is what we need to nail, because it's not better it's better for all of us, and the planet in particular. So just unleash the superpower and build on what we are building today. I mean, this is also, I mean, it's a digital marketplace we are building here. I mean, we have these networks effects happening, and everyone can win on what is already there. We can build on what has been already developed.
Yeah. No, and I think the success also for a company as for us as ABB is about being clear about what's our strength. It's really understanding our customer's problem, but also to be smart enough to find out when do we need to work with others to solve those customer issues. That could be like with Microsoft when we talk about our Azure platform or our Ability platform that sits on Azure Microsoft technology as one example, but which is more of the digital, the cybersecurity, and having all those, because those are enablers that we can use our applications and our app for customers, so we solve their problems. And that is the same when we work with startups. It's about find, there are things where we can generate more ideas in these kind of forums where we're able to help customers, where we don't need to figure it out ourselves always, but we can do it together with others. So being curious about, what is happening around the world and being clear about, okay, what are we good at? And for me, it's very much about being close to our customers, the users of the equipment that we make, and understanding their problems and their pain points, so that we can come back, often together with others, that we come back with solutions to those challenges that they face. And more taking the leads, coming up with those solutions, and not being the one that necessarily knows everything and do everything, but we're able to coordinate it so we can, together with the people we partner up with, that we are able to solve those problems. So I think that's what I've seen, kind of the success over the last years, instead of trying to say we are big enough to do everything, that kind of be humble enough to say that here is better partnering with others, because for the better good of our customers, and then later on, I think also the better good for our company.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting perspective, and coming at it from the startup mentality, where there's an enormous amount of focus and effort to identify what your IP is, so protect it, monetize it. But I think in this arena that we're all working in, decarbonisation, electrification, there needs to be an enormous ecosystem of different businesses interacting with each other, with different revenue models and different approaches to the customer. And I think what we've learned in the collaboration with ABB, and what's really helped us, is to really crystallize what our sort of USP and IP, probably not legally defined, but everything else is about to create that collaboration, both in terms of the software product and the different services. So I think it's helped us mature and understand how an approach to this market and to scale in this market can be done.
Thank you. As he was speaking, I also thought suddenly of CureVac. I mean, what was your experience with collaboration when you were founding the company?
Yeah, as I said, it's really key, since as a small startup, you can't afford all these requirements for pharmaceutical industry. So it's not possible. So you have to collaborate with pharmaceutical companies to fulfill clinical trial criteria, for example, to work on quality, GMP production, quality production, things like that. So I think it's a prerequisite to do that. And
also in pharma.
It's clear. It's our business, so we have to go to the big animals, the pharma companies. Otherwise, we can't survive, since we also don't have the money in Europe. So, like Moderna gets billions of investments. Moderna can do it by itself, but in Europe we have to work with the experienced guys, and this is a good thing, because also pharma industry in Europe is drying out. The old products. They're not anymore selling, and they're overtaken by products from China or from other countries. So they need to get innovation. And I think this is a really good match. The innovative young guys, the old pharma kings, not kings anymore, but they're really heavily seeking for new technologies, something really new, brings them to a next step. So that's a really, really good interaction. And I love to be on the JP Morgan conference in California, in San Francisco. That's a yearly conference where big pharmas are there, but also small biotechs are there, and they're getting together. And it's not possible to follow all the speeches, because you meet with the pharma managers all the time. So you have a meeting schedule from morning until evening, and that's really helpful, because also it sets up, even if there's no collaboration coming out of it, but it sets up expectations, decisions. You see what they're seeking. You say, well, can we adapt them? Can we fulfill the wishes of the farmer? So coming back at home, we will speak how to get to the next level, because it's really, for our industry, it's key, this collaboration between pharma and biotech.
Interesting. Peter, you're needed outside.
Sorry?
They need you outside for a moment.
They need me outside for a moment.
Yes, outside to sign some certificates or diplomas.
All right.
Excuse me. You can come back when you're ready. Yes, we have a question. So we have a question from one of our online, audience from the virtual world, and this is an important one. What can be done to increase the diversity in the open innovation ecosystem? Who wants to take that one?
Okay, I can't start, but because it's a big question on and even especially in the level of diversity here, because the diversity of what we do, I mean, diversity in the field of geography and balance, I mean, and global, I mean, you talked a bit about the European, but the global ecosystems versus also across industries. So I think talking about at least what we do, when you're talking about getting more global or more of the regional input, we're doing these kind of events like what we're doing here in Berlin today, around the world. We have done earlier in Bangalore in India. We are planning the next one in China. It's coming also in Latin America. So do it across geographies. You see that there are different challenges, but also different types of startups. And it's just when we are hosting it here in Berlin, we get more of a European kind of heavy, even though we do have even people coming from the other side of the globe. So credits for a long travel, but more of it we'll see. So part of how we will address it is to get that geographical balance, is hosting this kind of event in different geographies around the world. I think the other part is also about that global ecosystem, and is about how you kind of, the questions you ask and the people you invite to come in, or what are being open-minded when we ask a question, that we don't think it through our, and that I'm talking from an ABB point of view, through our own axis only, that you can come from different directions. So that goes to what kind of companies, or kind of having that open-mindedness when you are evaluating the entries. I think that it starts even there. So that would be, but that is a challenge for us, and it's more of being open about it, being kind of conscious about it when we do the first screening. So I think there is, or else it's easy that we go on to, okay, this is something we understand and we know. So you go down the same road or the same path as you've done before. So I think that is a bit of some of this geographical balance you can do by setting it up around the world. The other one is more of a conscious decision, that you are open-minded enough when you do the first screening. So just, but I'm sure maybe you have some other thoughts around it.
So the short list, right? It's to take that into account even for the short list. Welcome back, Peter. Any thoughts on diversity in the open ecosystem before we go to the next question?
I know something.
I thought you might.
Yeah. Okay, I missed the discussions here, but I think the more we practice, the better we get. And I think it's time to practice collaboration, because it's really the way forward, I think. And you mentioned trust, Morten, as well. There is actually an equation for trust that was derived many, many years ago. Probably are all aware of it, mathematicians. But if you allow me to tell me, I mean, it's how credible are you and how reliable are you? You sum those two. And then also how the intimacy is there as well. And this is really how direct are you in your problem solving. If a problem appears, I mean, do you call your counterpart at the startup right away and say, okay, we have a problem, how can we solve it? Or do you write a mail, or you call for a meeting, or you bring it up at the next Steko? I mean, we are in this together. So those three you add. And then you need to divide everything with your self-orientation. So if you really self-orientation, what's in it for me? How can I win? Then, of course, your trustworthiness goes down. And that is as simple it is. It's since long known. And remember, if we should control the future, we have decided we need to go there. We cannot do it alone. So we need to be there together. So if you lose your trust, you just think about your own short-term KPIs, it will not work. But when you start to focus on where we have decided to go, then we will make it together. And we don't need to predict it because we already know this is what's going to happen. So practice collaborating, and we will.
And how diverse does that have to be? So what role does diversity play in that?
Yeah, I mean, we need to lead by example, and without telling anything, we have problem here. We need to be more diverse. Yes.
And how do you propose that we go about
bring forward
that?
Superstars? I think they're busy because they are there. I mean, when we see them, let's make sure we elevate them, and that is all type of diversity. The more perspectives we have, the more network effects we will have. And they are the only ones to go from incremental growth to something that is exponential.
All right. Got another question up here. Startups. Oh, give me just a second. I'll get back to you just momentarily. Startups nowadays build companies to sell to large multinationals later at a higher value. How to reverse the trend and let startups grow on their own and exist? I guess without an exit plan. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, maybe I take that. Well, you can't say it that's the case in every business. I think maybe in a kind of IT startup where a big one takes over and takes the technology. In terms of pharma startups, where I'm in, still the big COVID companies, Moderna and BioNTech and even CureVac, they're still by their own. Although Pfizer is collaborating with BioNTech in the US, it's called the Pfizer vaccine. It's a BioNTech vaccine, but still, I think that's not a trend I see. So these companies, they are strong enough since they're the stock exchange and Nasdaq, then they can provide with a lot of funds by themselves. So I think they don't need that. So I don't see it in my space, in the biotech space. Yeah.
If I can continue with you, the next question from an EIC perspective, do you see a different level of maturity regarding open innovation capabilities across different industries?
Yeah, for sure. It's the pharma world is completely different to the IT world. Or if you have a product you can already sell, it's different. You can sell it, you can collaborate with industry, they can roll it out, you can sell it worldwide. In terms of pharma and biotech, it's completely different, and it's not mature at all. You need approval. You need a pharmaceutical approval, you need pharmaceutical production, so it takes much a longer time to do that. So it depends on the industries, the maturity of it, but the pharma industry is not mature. No.
Okay.
I can say as well, I mean, we're doing the same in ABB, and I see, in our industry, we work with startups that some companies becomes partners, more of a supplier relationship. We have also where we do minority investments later on, and we have also examples where you end up with a full acquisition. So I don't see that. I mean, there are also many different paths, and it depends really. I wouldn't say that the ones, where you go into an acquisition is more successful than the one is partnership. It just depends what kind of technology and what kind of offering you're having. So, but I think we're using all those opportunities, and you have to play it. And I think it's a good way to get to work with startups or work with companies before only just putting in capital, but you can also prove and get to know companies before you put in capital and being a part owner or even a full owner at one stage.
Yeah. Did you want to add?
I think that is so. I mean, it's splendid. It's the right way to go. And I mean, when we brought up Synelip as well, I mean, it's in end of 2016. We had a vision, yes, to shorten innovation cycle and mostly work. I mean, speed up R&D. But there are collaboration opportunities in so many ways. Partnership, I think, is an excellent way. But there are R&D collaborations. I mean, it's for the own operation. It's for HR. It's for sustainability. ABB is delivering to startups. One of the two unicorns we have fostered also. I mean, ABB sells a lot to that startups, or another Baltic startup is doing automated restaurants. ABB sell robots to them. Of course, the startups sell to ABB as sub-supplier and so on. Or we just go for public grants together because we maximize our chance to get it when we are a strong consortia of big and small. So there are so many possibilities for collaboration. So it should not just be limited to equity investment or something like that. The network effects comes when we really unleashes the power and have the same target to go for. We would like to control the future. We would like to shape the future.
All right, thank you, Peter. We have a question in the back.
Yes, thanks. My name is Matthias Boger. I'm CEO of R3 and a proud member of the Synelip family for almost 1 year now. And I have to say, I really enjoy this panel because it's very personal to me. Because you know, we're part of Synelip. We had, even before we had cooperations with ABB, we've been part of the EIC Accelerator on the first cohort, like 2019. Of course, we're using Microsoft Office and GitHub. Yeah, okay, Talana, I guess we have to find something in the near future. Well, I have a Talana hashed at home. Maybe that counts as well. Okay, but we were talking a lot, or you were talking a lot about success and failure before for startups, and I have to say we had a lot of successes over the last year. We, at least if you believe the awards, like we had the Hello Tomorrow Award, we were EIT Digital Challenge winner, some more. Nevertheless, we got bankrupt last year. So we went completely in insolvency mode. A lot of people that hyped us, all of a sudden didn't believe in us anymore. And it was a very, very good feeling that, I mean, it happened, I think, 1 month after we entered into Synelip, that a financing round just got away, and it just didn't find a very quick solution to solve this problem. And Martin just said, I know, we figured something out, don't worry. So that was very, very helpful, and I'm still very thankful for this, because a lot of like opportunities just with ABB come up over the last weeks, right? A lot of so if you have somebody that keeps believing in what you're doing because you think it's a good way forward, that gives you a lot of confidence booms. So, but. And this is something that I had a real problem with, and that is something that's, I think, completely different from the US, because one thing, the EIC Accelerator, that was one of our biggest plus when we were going great, it gave us a real big challenge as we went into insolvency mode, because we asked people whether we can take it over to the new company. So in Germany, we have the übertragene Sanierung, where you can say, okay, I leave everything in the old company. We were R3 Communications, now we are R3 Solutions. We could take over all our 40 to 50 employees and kind of started new. But what happened is that we had a very, very nice officer at EIC, and she tried to find a way, but there just was no way, right? And she said, okay, no, we can't give you the remaining 600,000, which again put a lot of pressure on us. But what then happened that was the worst, namely that they said, okay, if you don't have people anymore that are working for you, and you have to you cannot write the reports, right? That were still like 2 months to go. We will have to get our 2.1 million euros back. So, and this money they put on top of our debts. So we were not interested in for any other investor anymore, right? Who buys a company for even 100,000 or so. So we were lucky that nevertheless we found a way outside. It's a different story, but. I think in Europe still there is a failure is still a really bad thing. right? And this is something that in the US, we've been part of the Endless Frontier Labs as well, and people said, I had 5, I had 6 failures before I actually started up a great company. And this is something that I would like to give to you, and also for politics. I think there's no politician here, but anyway, that this is something you have to take into consideration, that you have to make the rules so that somebody who gets into struggling mode is not taken down by the system completely, right? So yeah, that was my kind of failure story. Just because this mixture was so nice, I was urged, or I felt urged to tell you this story. Okay, thank you for listening.
Thank you for sharing.
By the way, we're good now. So company is alive, all the employees are there, and we're growing. So then again, it's kind of a success story.
Thank you very much. This was really heartbreaking, and the same for us. We were also close to failures at the beginning for years. We were close to insolvency. It's the way how to go. Everybody has to go this way somehow. Otherwise, we won't do it. Also sorry to hear the reaction of the EIC that they withdraw from you. Otherwise, they should support you. I don't know, what's going here. The reason is that maybe a lot of managers also in the EIC, they never did this kind of work. They never went in these situations like you and me. So they react like a bank, well, it's risky, I want to get back my money soon. You have to pay it back. And that's really wrong. And we have to overcome this, Exactly what Barbara told us, there has to be failure. Otherwise, you're not mature. You have to tell me about failures, And also with the EIC, they have to be really talking about failures and also talk together what to do if somebody fails. We have to support this guy. We can't go back to legislation and say, no, I want to get back my money. No, they are risk-taking. So they have to they have to take risk. Otherwise, they're not the EIC. They don't do innovations, Then they're a bank. If they take risk, they have to take risk, and they have to talk about it, and they have to support companies who failed in the first attempt, but they have to really to seek advice how to succeed the business, how to improve it, and how to help you guys off. So it's a very good story you told me, and I'm really embarrassed to see what's going on, and we have to change it. We really have to change it. Yeah. There comes again all the legislation things, the member state things, and so I think that they're not in a setting that they can do what they like. They always have to go back to the legislation part, and then they're hindered by others, and I think that's really bad. And we have to overcome it. They have to be set free. They can do what they want. They don't have to go always in this kind of meetings and begging for things they should do. They can't allow it to do that. That's really an issue in Europe.
It's about building structural capital from the learnings, because that is what's taking it to the next level. Exactly. That is a learning. Yeah. Let's do something about it. And that is the hard part, but it will really pay off in the long run. So I think...
Yeah. And I'm sure if you get a second chance, you will do it better. I'm sure. You're an ideal candidate to do again a startup and go through it, I think. Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, gentlemen, we have to wrap it up. But thank you so much. Thank you for your stories, for your insights, for being with us today. That was really great. And now I'm going to have to ask you to leave the stage because it's time to get all those awards out. So again, thank you. Walk down carefully around this chair. And we will announce the winners of our ceremony. Please, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tim. And our jury is back. Whew. Sweating? Was that hard work? I bet it was. I bet it was. Okay, so Anton, where are you? Come back up here and join me, please. because we are approaching time here. I'm going to have you get on this side. Oh, Morten, you need to come back, please. We also need you for this part of the ceremony. I think you could just, you could just be right there.
Yes, the jury, we were confronted with very tough choice.
Yes.
Because really remarkable applications from remarkable companies full of passion, extremely profound technical knowledge, and willingness to work together. Yes. Before I pass the word to my colleagues at the jury to announce the winners, I would like to just disclose which criteria we used to evaluate the applications. And we were really focused on 4 dimensions. The first being the startup's technology and overall fit with the challenge. How does it fit with our intent and with the scope of the challenge? The second is the business model and how we take the proposed solution to the market together. How can we really bring it to the customers to address the challenges? The third dimension was the proposed plan to execute the MVPs and how realistic to deliver it to the market together. And the fourth is of course the engagement and the chemistry of the startups that we've seen today. So this was the 4 criteria. And Morten, if you'd like to add anything on your impressions, after that we will pass to the jury members.
Yes, I was not in the jury. I will not. I would just say thank you to everything what we've seen today. It was very both engaging but also impressive to see. And I'm also hearing from for those of you who have worked together with the startups. I mean, the very positive feedback and now also the kind of the interest for the next steps and getting even more results out of the pre-work that has been done. So I'm also looking forward to see who won now. And I guess everybody is excited about it. Yeah?
Absolutely. So without further ado,
let's
members from the divisions.
Yes,
thanks a lot.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Anton. Don't go away. But yes, our first category, which is distribution solutions, we had 3 finalists. I'm going to call up Max Cheney. Max, please join us. And I'm going to give you the envelope. And as jury member, okay. I'm going to just, since you have the microphone in your hand, I'm not going to, no, I'm not going to look. I promise. I'm not going to look. I'm just going to facilitate. Since you have the microphone. There it is. Get in the middle. Get in the middle. Let's see.
So emotions, the winner is Protexo.
Ta-da! All right, gentlemen. All right.
Many congratulations. Many congratulations.
Congratulations, gentlemen. Let me grab a mic for you. Yes, you can say a few words, of course.
Wow, I'm shaking a little bit here. But first of all, I just want to say, obviously, thank you to ABB, the judges, and all the folks that were involved in putting this on at Cinderleap as well, and Microsoft. Really a great event for us. It brought us together as a team, as I said earlier. And I really also want to say to FutureGrid and Kairos, like we talked in the other room, we could easily be partners. We aren't competitors. Our solutions didn't really compete against each other. We should be integrating the Kairos machine learning and analytics. We should help take FutureGrid to the edge, the far edge. So these companies are fantastic. I want to partner with all of them. And thank you, Mats. Mats was really the spirit and leader of this project with ABB. So Mats, you rocked it, absolutely. And again, thank you all so much.
Awesome. Now, I want to hear briefly. Oh, don't go away. Come back. I want to hear briefly why it is you chose them.
Yeah. So essentially, we felt, first of all, that this was the solution that best addressed the problem statement. So the second thing that you guys did really well, you analyzed the real data set that we gave you, and you went beyond that, building the system. I mean, that really scored you some good points. And I would say last but not least, also very important, you showed really consistent level of engagement. Many of you throughout the exercise So really well done, and we're looking forward to working with you in the future.
Wonderful. All right. And one more thing. One more thing before you leave the stage. In the excitement of the moment and the transition, we were remiss in showing, we had a short video of the 3 finalists that were in the category with you. So if, gentlemen, if you don't mind, it's a bit of an, comes across as a bit of an afterthought, but I think it's important. And it will just take like 30 seconds. So, because it's important, we want to acknowledge also the rest of the finalists that were in this category. Or not. Okay. That's okay. Future Grid is up there.
Grid Edge.
Kairos Technology. We assist control room operators to perfection.
Protexo simplifies edge computing to make power distribution systems more efficient, safe, and sustainable.
All right, so that was them. Again, congratulations to the finalists in that category, and of course to our winners. Thank you very much, Max, for that. Anton, come back to us. Okay. All right, so our next category is Smart Power. Smart Power. All right, we have also 3 finalists in this category. We're going to have a look at them right now before we announce the winner, in the correct order this time.
XM is the digital solution for the simulation and the management of microgrid, optimizing the use of all components, loads and generation.
Industrial Analytics provides AI services to optimize performances and energy efficiencies.
At Rebase Energy, we empower tomorrow's energy innovators with data and digital tools.
All right, there you have it, the 3 finalists in the Smart Power category. Now I'd like to ask Nico back to the stage. Please, Nico. Railo, to help us announce the winner. Would you like to do the honors, Morten? Just the handover? The handover, yeah.
Yeah, and tough competition in the end. The winner is IEM.
Whoa! Very nice.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations. Very nice.
Thank you.
Hand that over.
Thank you for this opportunity, and yes, also the CEO with us. Thanks to the jury for this award. I want also to thank our team in Livorno that is watching us for sure from Italy. And now, yes, the challenge starts now, and we are so happy. Also, some words from.
Yes, I think that this is a very interesting opportunity for collaboration with a global company like you, and we can empower our technology with field-proof systems with your customers, and we'll stay at your side to bring this system on the market very soon. Thank you so much for everything.
Wonderful. Wait.
Thank you very much.
You can vote. Did we get rid of our mics? What happened to our mics? There's, I was gonna say, you can grab the mic from behind on one of the chairs, Anton, also, if you'd like. There's one left. Okay, so Nico, tell us.
I think,
what drove?
I think starting even from your background, as academic background, your experience in smart grids, you nail it. The proof of concept. That was really excellent. Straight to the point. I think that was really one of the key criteria in the end. Same time, we believe you have a solid path to complete MVP, and after that we can really bring value to our customers, and of course to ABB also. So we are really looking forward to work with you. So we really trust in you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay. Great. Thank you, Nico. Congratulations again, gentlemen. Okay. Well, yeah, it's a bit of a... All right. Morten, Anton, we are down to the wire. Our last winner. We've got one more winner. There it is in the Smart Buildings category. which of course we also had 3 finalists pitched to us today. Let's do a quick recap of this category.
Animated Insights is the search engine for the Internet of Things. We turn data into knowledge and knowledge into intelligence. We are the single source of truth for all your IoT assets.
Hi, good morning. BData is a big data analytics platform to promote energy user engagement to consumers of energy service companies.
Moose is a back-end technology that runs on smart home systems, turning data from connected households into proactive hunches for saving energy.
All right, let's see who's going to take that. Oh, here it is. Where is it? Oh, here we have the envelope, please. Martin, but please. You may have the honor. Let's see who it was. Aldo, Shiaka, please, thank you for joining us. All right, ready to do this?
Yes. It's white. Okay. Oh. And the winner is Moose.
Yeah! Wow!
You deserve it.
What do you want to say, gentlemen? No.
Thank you very much. We're so humbled to work with the absolute most trusted and leading brand in our field. And I think I'm saying in the words, or in our both's name and in the name of our whole team, thank you very, very much to ABB, Synerleap, and Microsoft for trusting in us, for offering us this amazing opportunity, and for making this whole thing very real. Thank you very much.
Did you want to add something? Are you good? All right, so Aldo, tell us, what convinced
why?
you? Why?
So it has been a tight one, really tight one. So be happy, even more happy about that. There are 2 factors that helped a lot. The engagement that you have shown all along the story, the interaction of yourself, of your teams, has been really amazing, top notch. And I think also always bringing the look of the customer, the final users, into the game. Also in all the discussion we had today, in the question, in the way you answered the question. So having always yourself in the shoe of the customer, I think is a plus for this kind of application. So this has been the 2 decisive factors. Then you are very good in pitching, but you didn't win for that.
All right, wonderful, gentlemen. Congratulations again. Congratulations again. Very well done. Very well done. All right, so. All right, Morten, now it's just you and me. Don't go away. Come back. So congratulations again to all of these challenges winners, ABB Electrification Startup Challenge winners. To everyone. What an exciting journey, right? What an exciting day. And the beginning, of course, of a new journey with ABB.
Yeah, because we're, congratulations also from my side to well-deserved winners. Really, really well done. So, and I was so happy to hear also to hear the engagement also from, as I say, from our team. Looking forward to that next step. And I'm sure also those who didn't win it today, the door is not closed for future collaboration with ABB. I think that is also an important message to everybody, even if you didn't get the winner award today, because this was a tight race, I know, in all the categories.
Exactly. So yes, before we move on to our celebration, our coffee and apero, I didn't know if you had any more additional closing thoughts.
No, I think, as I say, I hope you will have a great time here in Berlin, both a nice dinner tonight, but also tomorrow is the ABB Formula E races. And for those who haven't been there and watched that already, I hope it, and for everybody, I hope it will be an exciting and it's a great experience. I always like it. So but for me also the first time in Berlin. So I'm looking forward to the race here tomorrow. I've been to a few around the world and it's always great fun. So I'm sure and I hope you will thoroughly enjoy it tomorrow.
Wonderful. And in terms of next steps, we've already got some up on the board. The next ABB challenges, we've got Driving to the Innovative Future in China, October 2022, and Join the Energy Efficiency Movement, Lisbon, November 2022. Are we already taking applications, or here we go?
Absolutely, these are two events that will happen.
Try that one.
This year. In China specifically, and also together with our Motion business area on the energy efficiency movement in Lisbon. So we welcome all applications for these ones. And also, I want to say thank you to everybody who participated, all the colleagues who participated today and didn't win the challenge, but it's been fantastic having you with us. And also, very special thank you to the organizing team from ABB side, from Synerleap, and from Microsoft. Tremendous efforts to make this happen, and it was really amazing event. A round of applause to you, colleagues. Thanks a lot.
A round of applause to everybody. Thank you. All right. Thank you. And again, thank you all for joining us today. It's been an amazing day. I wish you an amazing rest of the evening. It's been my pleasure to join you today. Really been an absolute pleasure. And you know what? They always say, we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye. Thank you, Morten.